Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on the show Autour du Cacao, the show that goes beyond the chocolates. I'm very pleased to have today two actors of the circular economy. As you may know or may not, cocoa pods is like 70% of the whole fruit, and most of the time it's thrown away. The recent research shows that for each ton of beans, we have like two or more tons of pods. So mechanically, Ivory Coast produce more than 10 million metric tons of cocoa pods, which are going to waste. But anyhow, my guests today are tackling these issues. I'm very pleased to have you on the show, Seleen, Martin. How are you?
Very well, thank
Yeah,
you. Yeah.
more than welcome. We will start with you. Please, can you introduce yourself?
Myself, yes. Yeah, my name is Seleen. I work at SPAAK. I'm the CEO of SPAAK since this year. And I'm mainly responsible for making sure that everything goes
Okay,
in the cocoa projects, but also at SPAAK in general.
perfect.
And I have more background in international development and environmental science, and I really like that this can be combined
Okay,
in what we do at SPAAK.
okay, perfect.
Yes.
I will now ask you the same question.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Martijn. I've been working for SPAAK now for a little over a year. I have a background both technically and commercially, but with SPAAK, I'm focusing on the commercial side. So also with the Cocoa project, I'm focusing on the business case and how to make that work. Yeah.
Excellent. So for the first part of the show, I will who want to give us the vision and the mission of Spark because you've been
SPAAK.
talking about it. Maybe Madame the CEO.
Course. Yeah, no, so what we do at SPAAK, we want to create an economy that serves nature, that serves people instead of the other way around. And we do that by developing circular business models. So what we mainly do, we look at waste. How can we valorize waste? And it can be plastics or textile, but our biggest focus is on organic waste. So what can you extract from organic waste? What is the value? What products can you make? What technology do you need? What markets are there? What corporations? So that's what we do. We do that in two ways. We build new companies and we run projects. So that's what we try to do. We try to tackle social stuff, environmental stuff, finance
In two ways.
in two ways, many
Perfect.
ways.
And Spark exists since when? Just for
SPAAK
knowledge.
is 8 years old now, so it's quite a young company. And it was founded in the Netherlands by four people out of their university, like a course they did together on valorization.
Okay.
And yeah, now there's a whole team behind it. There are two daughter companies. We run a lot of projects, so it grew a lot in 8 years, I think.
Okay. And Martin, regarding your background, what brings you in to Spark, let's say?
Yeah, that's a good question. I started out off at biotechnology, so that's really the technical part. I figured out I didn't want to be in a lab all day, so then I went more to the commercial side, and that's management, economics, and consumer studies.
Okay.
But while I was doing this, and I studied in Wageningen, there's a big emphasis
Okay.
on sustainability. So I also got the sustainability bug. But for me personally, I always thought about, okay, how can you make a product that's not just bad, but that's both good as a product and the entire system behind it is also good. So how do you make a sustainable end product that's environmentally works? But then, and that's how I got to SPAAK.
Yeah.
But then working for SPAAK, there's also an emphasis on the social impact.
Yeah.
And that's something I think that's really added since I've started working at SPAAK. I thought it's going to be hard. If you want to do these two things already, it's going to be hard to be also doing the social part of it. But it is possible.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to do right now. And it actually really fits in making products that way.
And what you
And,
ask, right?
and I think it's even more important that we cannot solve problems of the current global problems we have without looking at social, without looking at the environment, without looking at the economy at the same time. Otherwise, we are tunnel visioned.
Yeah.
And that's what we try to do, to combine all to have a
All
good
these
solution.
different Perfect. You give me the perfect transition for the for the part two. So here, as you know, we're talking about cocoa,
Mm,
and we try to go beyond the chocolate. This is a vision that we try to establish because, as I was saying, there's a lot of wastes into cocoa. I mean, there's a lot of waste into agriculture
yeah.
in general, and especially into cocoa. So in that sense, what is SPAAK doing regarding specifically the cocoa product, if you want to start, and
Yeah.
then we'll talk about maybe the business cases.
Yeah, so what we saw is from the cocoa fruit, the beans are of course used for the chocolate. Kumasi is working on the fruit to make juice out of it, and what is left over is then the pot husk.
Yeah.
So it's the outside of the fruit, and that is now wasted at the land, at the farmers' places. So we thought, how can we make sure that the whole fruit is used? And that's what we're doing. So we're looking at the husk. What is there possibly inside this fiber, this pod that we can extract? And we know from our experience, from doing research about it,
Yeah.
that you can extract pigments, you can extract sweetener, you can make panels out of it, you can make biochar. So there's a lot of possibilities you can do, and that is what we are doing here.
Excellent. So basically, concretely, how is it working? Like you just went to Ivory Coast one day and decided to start. Can you give us just the story behind
Yeah.
this emphasis on cocoa pod us?
No, I think we came here 2 years ago for the Sarah for another project. We were running a project on rice straw, making hydrogel out of it,
Nice.
which you can use for plasters and everything. And then we were at the Sarah, and of course, Côte d'Ivoire is huge in cocoa. So there
It's the
was,
biggest.
it's the biggest. So there was a lot of around cocoa. So for us, it's not limited to one certain sector. It's all organic waste streams we can handle. So we met a lot of partners there, and that's where the idea grew to start something to valorize the whole pot. Also, it's an important trade country for the Netherlands because
Okay.
all the cocoa is
Yeah.
shipped to
True.
Amsterdam.
True.
So there was also some synergy there from the embassy that they really wanted to do something with cocoa.
True.
So that's how we started this consortium and started this project. And when you start something, you think, oh, we just solved this little problem. But then you see
Then
the
it's
bigger
over.
world, and
Yeah.
it's even nicer. You can do
The
more.
forest beyond the tree.
Exactly.
But to do that, Martin, I will talk to you now. To that, okay, you have the vision, you have the potential, the country, but as we were saying, you can have an excellent product and not knowing where to sell it.
Yeah.
So one of your tasks is to build business case or case studies on how we can, develop and have a commercial issue of this type. Can you tell us more about?
Yeah. So maybe it's good to know there was already a project before a cacao project that was looking at this.
Okay.
What can be done? What can be produced by using the cocoa husk or by using the cocoa pods,
Okay.
the pot husks, I should say.
Yeah.
How can you use that, and what kind of products can you make with it? So that research was already used, and from that, then you're gonna build a business case. And in this business case, the first thing that you do is basically you make a flow chart.
Okay.
And in this flow chart, you put in all the steps. It's still a bit big. It's not like on the technology level, but it's more, okay, what are all the steps that we have to do? And from these steps, you synthesize a mass balance.
Okay.
And the mass balance, now it's important you get input from the tech side. Okay, if we do this step, how much are we left with? How much residue from this product do we get as
Yeah.
well? And then for us is the question, what can we do with this rest product? Can we use it to make more energy to help with our process? Or is this a separate thing that we can potentially sell even? From this part, now you have an entire list with things that you gotta do.
Yeah.
You gotta know how much the machines cost. You gotta know how much it costs to operate those machines. You gotta know what the costs are of energy. All this has to be drawn out, and it's usually after you made this mass balance and you made this list with all the things that you need to know, that you know what you don't know yet.
Yeah.
So now you have to go do research. Okay, what are all these values? What are the assumptions we can make? And what do we not have ready yet? And from that, you put this in a model, and then you've got a version of the model that you try to be very conservative with, right? Okay, we think we can sell this product between 8 and 4 euros. Let's put it at 4.5. Let's be conservative. And you do that with every step. What comes out of this might be, if it's very positive, then you probably have got to be a bit conservative with saying, oh, this is a perfect business model, maybe we missed something. If it's very negative, it's still something you've got to research, because there might be some assumptions that you've done that are not viable or that are not fair, right? So this business case is, first of all, to see what don't you know yet, put everything in order and figure out what the things are that you still need to figure out. And to see what the biggest challenges are. Because if you see that the entire project works pretty well, but there's one cost that's very high, let's say logistics, or let's say energy costs, then that's the challenge that you're going to work on, and that can inform the next iteration of the business model.
Okay.
So to think that, okay, we've got an idea, now we make a business model, now it's perfect, that's not how it works in reality.
You have to be iterate and iterate. You want to
and it's very important to the input is needed from technical side, but also the market and commercial side. So it's a parallel project in that sense, because you need both. You need to know what is the market, what are the prices there. You need to know what technology do we need, and that you combine in the business case.
Yeah.
And it's a constant feedback loop. All sides.
Do you have in a research team, or you with universities and people that already have, you know, a lot of experience in what we can do with cocoa pod?
No, so it's our own team who does all the research, but we use, of course, sources from universities. But for a lot of things what we do, there might be a little bit of research done, but not specific on what we are doing. So we combine different kinds of research for a new goal, for a new process. So and that is difficult to find online or with universities.
So this is why you have to build the case by yourself.
Yeah.
So talking about those research, today, what are the products you want to establish with this cocoa pod? Tell us, please, what can we do? And
no, you can do a lot with it, and I think so you have the more high value products and the lower values. And the high value ones are the pigments and the sweeteners at the moment.
Wow.
And pigments you can use for colorants in food or to color textile.
And so you can have any color?
No.
No, you cannot have any color. So every waste product has a different color range. Yeah. What are the colors of cocoa? Do you know?
Oh, I'm not entirely sure, but it's like the caramel colors, and that's why it's so interesting for the food industry, because it can be used very well in cakes and there's a good word for it.
But then you have an organic colorant for your food instead of chemical colorant.
Yeah.
And then next to that we have the sweetener, and the sweetener it can be used in dental care, so toothpaste, chewing gum, anything there.
So the sweetener, like, well, it's not sugar, but something that is, wow. And it's what, a powder or how?
Yeah, it looks like a crystal.
It's a crystal. Yeah.
Okay.
But it doesn't have the same like valorization caloric impact as value as sugar has. But it's a sweetener. It's not a sugar.
So you can extract directly this sweetener out of the cocoa husk.
Yeah.
And technically, this cocoa husk has to be fresh, harvested 1 day ago, 2 days ago, to go the process. Maybe we come back later. Tell us more about the product. So we have the pigments.
So we have the pigments, we have the sweetener, and then you have left over the biomass. And with the biomass, you can do several things. So you can make panels. Think about IKEA, like MDF, tables, doors, anything.
Okay, material like.
Material for consumer use in that sense.
Okay.
Which you can also make completely bio-based. So when you don't use the table anymore, you can throw it away, and it's exactly. So that's the ideal circle. And you can make charcoal out of it, which is used to improve the soil
and reduce the deforestation also.
Exactly. Yeah. So So there's a lot of components that are solved, or at least partly solved. And also what's important with the biochar, by bringing it back to the farmers, they get a fertilizer
Yeah.
which improves their soil and which improves their yield.
Yeah.
So instead, you can also give an extra income, but we noticed that farmers prefer to get fertilizers like directly instead of income and then buy the fertilizers themselves.
Okay.
So we deliver back to where we get the input from.
Definitely.
And it's really cool because biochar also collects carbon that you then put in the ground. So
Yeah.
so you take CO2 out of the ground, out of the air into the ground instead of letting just the pot husk rot and putting more CO2 in the
And
air.
bringing diseases to the field, like
Yeah.
black pod and things like this.
Yeah.
But also mechanically, they will earn more revenue knowing that they will not buy or buy less chemical fertilizer, so they gain more revenue, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so on different levels, you have an impact. You're improving the soil because you take away the pot husk, which is degrading the soil. Also, you give back fertilizers. They don't have to pay for that. Their yield increases, so they can sell more. So there's a lot of side effects just by valorizing the husk.
Definitely. So now let's dig down one more step down. Okay, how do you implement this now in Ivory Coast? Where did you start? Where are you based now? Since how long?
Yeah, so we started last year with the consortia. So Kumasi is part of that, Beyond Beans, ETG, the rock group Lono, you might know, and East Partners. And all of the consortium partners have their role in the project.
Okay.
We are more on the technical commercial side. Kumasi has the factory on the juice, for example. Beyond Beans has the connection with the farmers and the farmer corporations. The rock group is more on the CSR, so more on how do we work together and how do we report. And his partners has the overview to local entrepreneurs, so small MSMEs, and Lono makes biochar. So together we form the chain somehow. And Kumasi is already working on the juice factory, and the idea is to build the husk factory next to it, or include it, integrate it in a way. We're still figuring out how it works exactly. So that's how it starts, and that's what we're trying to do now.
So you have as a backbone maybe a cooperative or maybe a big farm to give you a lot of material, I presume.
No, it doesn't work like that, but maybe you can elaborate a little bit more on the input.
Well, input-wise, it's still also something that we need to establish with everybody. How are we going to do it? Because we know, of course, Kumasi has a lot of different farmers that they collect from.
Yeah.
The difference is that our input that we need is much bigger. So,
Okay.
and they don't use all the pot husks in their area, so that's definitely something that we can use. Yeah, but that way, Kumasi, we also have connection. So Beyond Beans is a daughter company from ETG.
Yeah.
ETG has a massive network, so this is a little bit how we can choose the different farms that we can work with.
Okay.
Yeah.
So backbone with ETG, which is a big local actor into exportation of cocoa. And just for the precision, Kumasi Drinks is it's a company that producing cocoa juice, mainly in Ghana at the moment, right?
Yeah.
But want to establish a factory here in IVC. Okay, perfect. So okay, you have all these different products. So you did not choose a place where are you now? Did you start to produce or you have one place established?
Yeah, so Kumasi is now setting up a factory.
Yeah.
So they will decide where will it be. More or less that will be more in country because they're close to the farms. It's better. And where we are now at the lab testing phase. So we're now collecting husk to take to the Netherlands and then do some tests, see how much can we get out of it. And also to test it together with the off-taker, so the clients in the end, if it fulfills their requirements. And then the idea is to have in the next harvest, not the next one, but next year spring, to run the first pilot.
Okay.
So, and with every step, you have to adjust. We learn from the lab test, we learn and we adapt the technology, we adapt the business case. So that's how it goes. And then after the pilot, we scale up. And we're still figuring out, because of logistics, whether it's better to have one big factory where all the input comes through, or have several
Many
factories.
factories.
Exactly,
Okay.
more decentralized.
So this is one of the biggest challenges. What other challenges you face in this installation?
Well, in the installation, so and this is on the tech side, there are multiple steps that you need to take that you need to add water. But then later on, you have to
Okay.
burn off the water. So
Okay.
the question is, how much water can we add at the lowest border? Because when we get burn off the water, that takes a lot of energy.
Yeah.
So that energy, that's one of the things that we're looking at, because we also have some biomass that's produced outside of the biomass that we want to use for the biochar production or the plate material. So this is maybe something that we can use to burn stuff like that. Maybe we can use biochar production if that's next door. We can use the excess heat, all these type of stuff, all these types of ways that we can use and also it's hotter in Côte d'Ivoire than in the Netherlands, so that
Yeah.
might also be a factor that there's less water needed. So stuff like that is how we tackle problems like that. And also, and this is going to be very interesting in the pilot phase. The data that we have, we need to add a lot of water. If we can, with 1/4 or 1/5 of the water needs to be added, and we still get our the result that we want, that will make such a huge difference in the amount of energy that we need, that could solve the problem already. So this is all type of stuff that we really need to pilot for, to really make sure what are the most important ones that we focus on.
Yeah, so the biggest question at the moment are logistics and energy
Yeah.
Okay.
in the whole wireless.
Yeah.
In the whole scenario.
Yeah.
So I have a question here. So you will build the case, do some products and sell them. So is the idea back there is for SPAAK and all this ecosystem to earn more revenues, let's say, or also is there a way that you will give or maybe teach or train people for this technology so you can develop new champions, people entrepreneurs can
Yeah.
start this type of ventures also.
And that is why Ease Partners is part of the consortium,
Okay,
because
okay.
they train entrepreneurs, local entrepreneurs here in Côte d'Ivoire. And so we have a selection now of entrepreneurs that are innovating on cacao.
Yeah.
And the idea is that they will be part of the chain. We don't know yet where in the chain they will fit, but it might be, for example, interesting that they experiment more on the pigments, on the colorants, or that they provide biodegradable packaging,
Yeah.
or that they will be part of the sweetener extraction. So that is the idea, to build up a local economy, creating local jobs for local markets with local entrepreneurs. And of course, we don't want it that if we leave or someone of the consortium says, "Hey, I'm done," that the whole plan falls apart,
Yeah,
right? It should
definitely.
be sustainable. So it should also be possible to run it here for however we need it. So for that, you need new young generation that are trained and that learn.
Yeah, and to add to that, right now, when we talk about the sweetener, it's meant for export to the Netherlands, because we
Okay.
know they want it there in big volumes.
Okay.
Preferably, we would sell it in
Yeah.
Côte d'Ivoire, but right now the market is not there or is not big enough.
Yeah.
So, and it makes more sense to also sell it in Côte d'Ivoire, because you don't have to travel all over the sea to a foreign country. You can all do it internally, and that makes much more sense also environmentally wise.
But
Yeah.
if in the first place the market is in the Netherlands, you have to
Yes.
serve
Yeah.
the market and
Yeah.
then maybe create a market here.
Yeah.
One other thing is like, okay, we have a cocoa husk and we can do those different products. Is there a way in the chain that's with the same cocoa, let's say with 1 kg of cocoa husk, we can do different products? Or if I turn it into biochar, I cannot do pigment, I cannot extract sweetener, for example?
No, so in essence, you first extract sweetener and pigments,
Okay,
and what's left over goes to biochar or the
okay,
panels.
okay.
Or the
Um,
panels, yeah.
or the
So
panels,
so
yeah.
that's the good distinction to make. It's about the fibers for the panels. It's about the carbon contents for the biochar. So those two are interchangeable.
Okay,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you can extract the sweetener
Yeah.
and then still have the biochar or
Yeah.
the panel.
Yeah, and you can make those separate streams maybe.
Okay.
Maybe there's only a certain amount of demand for either one,
Yeah.
then you can also use the other one.
Okay, so in a way that we build a factory so this is a multiple product factory with only one input.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the
definitely.
idea.
Okay, so now it comes maybe one of the most important parts, like the human resources.
Yeah.
How do you train people? How do you find people here to follow the vision, to work with you? Maybe on the technical part, you have already a solution on this point?
I think, yeah, we're also still looking for people right now.
Okay.
Also because we're going to run the pilot. And for the pilot, it's interesting to go look out for people. And I think the next steps is then, okay, who can do this full time once we're working full, once we have a full skilled up
Yeah.
company. But yeah, that's part of what we're trying to do right now.
But there's also part of the project is our cooperation with universities.
True.
Yeah,
So it's exactly the question you asked before. We have to already start making sure that universities or other institutes provide training so that if someone starts studying that now, finish it in 4 years,
Yeah.
that we are ready. Because if we start in 4 years, then we're
Then we-
8 years ahead, you know?
Yeah.
So this is a thing. So we also discuss with universities how can we make sure that they provide the education that is needed to run certain such production processes.
yeah.
So that's also part of the project.
And once we have one facility running, we
Yeah.
can use that to
As a
have-
model to establish other.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then we also,
And what is
can
great
ask.
is that the factories are more inland, so they're not in Abidjan. Or, so you also create more highly educated jobs over there, so people don't feel less pressure, the need to go to Abidjan
You're
or
fixing
overseas.
people into
Exactly.
the country.
Yeah, and also in their communities instead of that they feel the need to go away.
Elsewhere, yeah.
Yeah.
So, do you work in other African countries regarding this particular project? I know Kumasi Drinks is in Ghana, but yeah, for this recycling, are you in other countries?
Yeah, so in Africa we are in Egypt, Morocco, in Ghana, in Madagascar, South Africa at the moment, and then Côte d'Ivoire, of course. But specifically in cocoa, we are doing it in Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire because
Okay.
Ghana also has a big.
Well, those are the
cocoa.
two biggest producers.
Exactly. The project is different. So there we're more looking at the cocoa farm. How can we valorize the whole farm? So you don't have only cocoa, but you also have plantain or other stuff. So
Okay.
the essence of the project a bit different. But if it works here, you
work
can translate it to
in another
Ghana.
cocoa country.
Yeah.
and what we're learning in Ghana right now can also
Yeah.
be translated to here.
Yeah, exactly.
This is also part of the scale up question. Not only, in first sense, of course, we want to focus on cacao. But then once we've got cacao nailed down, we can look at the entire farm. Okay, the banana plant, we can now also mix logistics. So if we can mix logistics, this gets cheaper per amount of product as well.
True.
And this maybe we can also add to it the cashew apple, for example.
Yeah.
And so this is also for the long-term plans. This is also something that we're looking into.
Because I saw that, you have a project on banana waste.
Mhm.
And as a cocoa farmer, when you establish a new plantation, you plant banana trees.
Yeah.
And in 1 hectare, you can have up to 1,000 bananas that you have to cut when you want to harvest or when they produce.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of waste. So what are you doing with this waste? I know it's not typically cocoa, but it's around cocoa.
Exactly. And so at the moment we're looking at the plantain leaves to make hydrogel out of it. And hydrogel you can use in sanitary pads.
Okay.
So for people's periods.
Yeah.
But also in plasters or in for babies in how do you say it?
Diapers.
Diapers, okay.
So that's what we're doing now with the plantain. But in Ghana, we also had a project with plantain to make fibers for textiles, so making clothes.
Okay.
Biodegradable clothes. That
Biodegradable
after
clothes.
they're done, you can put them back on the farm. as compost.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
then we get really circular, I think.
Yeah.
This is already at scale or still also
No,
on
this is also
piloting?
in development. Yeah, this
Yeah.
piloting, all is piloting at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's I don't know if you can answer this question, but when can we have the result of this, biochar
No,
business
there is
cases?
the biochar is already done.
Okay.
That's I think last year we made biochar, Lono-made biochar out of cocoa. So
Excellent.
biochar is there already. This year we're testing on lab scale for extracting sweetener. Next year we do pilot scale.
And pilot scale is in place already, so that is in Côte d'Ivoire.
Yeah.
At larger scale than lab scale. Lab scale is really small.
Okay.
And pilot scale is really then we're working with a big fermenter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the field.
Yeah, exactly.
So when can we try this sweetener more or less, let's say?
Trying, you can do it in September maybe.
Oh, wow, it's very soon.
But for a small market.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so I think next year spring we what is the target to have a few kilos, like 100 kilos sweetener,
Yeah.
and then a year after, depending a little bit how everything goes, we can keep on producing. So let's say in a few years.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. We are waiting for that. Maybe let's talk about more Ivory Coast because we are here. So as the time we registered this show, we are on the 22nd, 21st of May, and in 2-3 days there will be the Sarah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you come here for that. What are you expecting? What are your views on this new Sarah?
I think it's for SPAAK two-sided. So first of all, it's on the cacao sector specifically. The ideal would be to valorize all the cacao waste in whole Côte d'Ivoire. And now we are working more on small scale. So the SARA and the trade mission is a good opportunity to get to know more actors in the field. Also governments, but universities, for example, with whom we can set the sector in such a way that it is ready for this new kind of valorization. And on the other hand, there are many other organic waste streams from the agri-food sector.
Rice, sugarcane.
Exactly. So there are many more opportunities for SPAAK, for other companies to do a similar thing with cacao for other waste streams. We are looking into cashew, mango, the plantain, palm.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it can be anything you think of in agri-food. There is a possibility. So that's what Sarah is really useful for, to make the connection and have a face-to-face connection with someone instead of
just through emails or online. And what are your views regarding the policies that the government set in places regarding this waste? Do you feel that there is a work that have been done? People are interested in that. There are already programs in university locally in Ivory Coast. Do you already have like this type of conversation with the government?
Yeah, so we're in contact with government, also through Dutch government, so the embassy, of course, and ETG is very well known here in Côte d'Ivoire. I think there are a lot of enthusiastic people, and especially farmers, they feel climate change.
Okay.
So, and they see the husks. So I think there's a lot of like a big wish to solve it, to make it better. Because also if we do this, we make farm fields more resilient for the climate change. So I do feel there's a lot of motivation on the ground to do something with it. I think on governmental level, it depends with what governmental part you're talking. But I think Côte d'Ivoire is
I mean, is there
motivated.
laws or incentives, financial incentive for the biomass transformers, like laws that's, I don't know, state that, okay, if you are a big company like ATG, you have to implement this or this type of recycling. Are there things in that way?
In Côte d'Ivoire, and to be honest, I don't know exactly. I know there are laws around the chocolate bean, so the bean. There's a lot of laws and regulations.
FCC, World Cocoa.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I think there's more freedom still on the waste side.
Yeah.
I hope there will come more incentives also on the policy side for becoming more circular.
But this is a lobbying, let's say, lobbying project, because now you have to advocate
Yeah.
this way, creating laws. And do you think is the next step? Because you can scale with let's say ETG, you can scale with 1,000, 2,000 farmers, but if there is no backup behind with, let's say, the state, because like the state is ruling the cocoa
Yeah.
in the country. So do you think that there's a point where you have to go there, like doing this lobbying and trying to convince?
Yeah, I think our project is a perfect showcase
Okay.
of how can it be, because a lot of organizations, government get afraid. Oh, we have to be more environmentally friendly.
Sure.
But our story is that we have a positive impact on the environment, but it's not the only thing we do. We have a social impact. We improve farmers' income. We create local economy, local jobs, and there is a financial model. So, and maybe sadly enough, but the financial story is most of the times way more important for a lot of organizations.
Of course.
Yeah.
But that is what is nice about this project, is it has all these aspects. So you cannot say, yeah, but it's more expensive, because now you're wasting something. And by valorizing, you're creating a new product. And another thing is that the European Union, they have their laws and regulations on,
Okay.
and have very strict on climate change, and they have rules on what you have to report on CSRD and these kind of things. So if you want to import to Europe, you have to fulfill these requirements.
Exactly.
So maybe there are no regulations yet on Côte d'Ivoire, I honestly don't know, but they are in Europe. And if you want
You
to
have
have
to-
this trade,
Yeah,
then you have to apply to these requirements.
exactly.
But I also think they will come in Côte d'Ivoire.
We saw last year a regulation regarding the deforestation, URDR. Well, it's not in place yet, but it was a big change, because now exporters and farmers have to register. Exporters have to make sure that they have the polygons to make sure that this cocoa is not grown into a protected forest. So maybe with your work, having something like this, like make sure also we recycle. Let's be crazy, 10, 20% of the cocoa husk, and going on further. Martin, do you see other companies or activities in this particular fields? Can we talk about competition? I'm not sure really, but do you have other actors, maybe Europe or African, for your as your knowledge?
I think, yeah, for all the different actors, the fact that we work within a consortium, it says a lot.
Yeah.
Because within the consortium, you've got all different parties that actually all have different priorities in the beginning. But once you work in a consortium, now you share the profits, but you also share
Knowledge.
the knowledge, but also the not so nice things, like the
The
big
risks.
costs, yeah, the risks and the big costs for example, logistics. So by combining all these things, now you're sharing that with all of you, and now you're not competing. So you're not taking an input, doing something with it, and selling it for profit. You're using it as the entire chain, and that also, by getting the risk together and getting the profits together, you cause some kind of, yeah, you're not competing, you're helping each other. And this is very useful also for the farmers, because you see in many economic circumstances that farmers are the ones that make very little money
Yeah.
from their product.
Yeah.
So yeah, and also about competition, working with a waste product. So that's also something very cool. Everybody thinks, okay, it's waste, I'm not doing anything with it. But once they can get something with it, now it becomes interesting for a lot of parties. So yeah, I don't feel competition this way. I think the story is actually very helpful. Um,
This is a very nice approach.
Yeah.
Just to be sure if people understand well. So today this consortium is made out of like 5 companies, if I
6.
6 companies. Can we just have it all again and see the part of each so we really understand your vision? So you have
Yeah. So we have Kumasi. They are specialized in the drink, like the pulp, so valorizing the pulp, and they are going to run the factory. So that's what they are doing. Then we have Beyond Beans. They are the part of ETG.
Yeah.
And they are also supporting Kumasi in the whole thing, and they have the connection to the farmers, to the farmer cooperative, and also more on governmental level. So they're our backbone in a way. Then we have ESP, so East Partners,
Yeah.
and they are providing training and input for entrepreneurs, so the small companies, the MSMEs. Then we have Lono, they produce biochar,
Okay.
and we have
With cocoa husk also?
also, yeah, so
Also.
cocoa husk, but also other input streams.
Okay. In Côte d'Ivoire
In
already?
Côte d'Ivoire, yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, they are near Yamoussoukro.
Okay.
Then we have the Rock Group. They are more on the CSRD, on how do we work together, how do we make sure that this chain is sustainable also if one of us wants to get out. And
Ourselves.
and ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The best for the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we are more on the technical development and the commercial development. And we're a project coordinator, so also the connection with the Dutch embassy and government. So these are all together, we form the
Cocoa
chain,
Force.
exactly, the
Yeah.
Cocoa Force.
The cocoa first. So where do you see all this in, let's say, 5 years from now?
Now, yeah, I really hope that at least we have one factory running and processing. And depending a little bit whether we go on a decentralized solution or a centralized solution, it would be nice to process, yeah, you were saying 10 to 20%, but okay, maybe 5 years is a lot or a very short time to process 80%. But ideally we should
Definitely.
process 100%, right, of the cacao.
I like it.
So that's where we're going. And I also like, and that's what also Martijn was saying before, it's not only cocoa, it's a bigger thing.
Yeah.
So it's the plantain, and it's how can we improve the farm and the soil, different, so not the monoculture, but different kind of crops, to make farmers more resilient for climate change, to make them resilient for droughts, for heavy rainfalls, and not dependent on the shitty income they get from the cacao.
And the
Yeah.
single
Yeah.
crop. Martin, you were saying to me like this is your first time in Africa,
Yes.
so welcome again. So
Thank
have you ever been to a cocoa plantation so far?
Not yet.
Not
I'm
yet?
trying. We're going also probably this Saturday with the trade mission or with the Sara.
Okay.
So I'm hoping to see more. But for now, it's only been on the videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you did not sow cocoa pod for the moment? Try the raw beans? The fruit?
No. The only ones that I've seen are the dried ones that came
Okay.
to the Netherlands.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. So we have to go. We have to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Do
hope
you know
so.
a nice
Really.
farm where we can
Of
go?
course,
Ah.
of course. Autour du Cacao, we know nice farms, and they have huge issue because they are like, let's say, 200 hectares.
Yeah.
So you can imagine that when they harvest, there are cocoa pods all over the place.
Yeah.
And be careful, because if you go there and you explain them what you do, they will try to
Yeah.
to make you live there to bridge the project.
Yeah.
But yeah, we should definitely go, and this is the best moment, I guess.
Yeah, I'd love to. We've just visited a black soldier fly farm today and yesterday. Not palm oil, but the leftover of palm oil company. Yeah, so that was really cool to see as well.
Company in Ivory Coast?
Yeah, and Côte d'Ivoire. So
Okay.
yeah, so you've got the palm, and then the it gets squeezed,
Yep.
but all the red palm oil
Yep.
was taken out, and that rest product, that was what they used.
To feed the black soldier fly.
No, that's a different thing. That was a different
That will be the
company.
solution.
That will be the solution.
Okay.
Maybe we
Okay,
can
okay.
maybe we can combine them. No, but that was a
another
separate
product.
farm. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So
No, but it's nice to go somewhere because
Exactly.
then you see actually what you're talking about, and in 5 minutes you understand more than 2 hours talking about.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Cocoa.
to
So,
see it for yourself. So yeah, so I was trying to say that I went there and saw it with my own eyes, and then it just clicks much faster. So that's also what I would like to see for the cocoa.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And how do you see from now in 5 years, uh, in SPAAK, your work? Where do you see it?
Now, well, what I see is that a little bit reiterating what I said before, but yeah, we start cacao now, want to grow cacao now, and then we're going to take that more holistic approach. So I also want to see, okay, what can we do with plantain? Can we grow this? Can we combine this? And then with the next one, and then with the next one, so that you get, that's also a little bit what Farm of the Future is about in Ghana, that you look at the entire cocoa farm, because the cocoa farm is more than just cacao. And that is something that I'm really interested in, not just
Yeah,
the cacao, but the
the whole
entire,
ecosystem
yeah.
into a farm.
Also with the ground, right? With the soil, if you combine it with
True.
multiple crops, now that it becomes more
Healthy
more
soil.
healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because regenerative farming is also something that
And
we.
if you apply the fertilizer made out of the cocoa husk,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
and what's also nice, SPAAK has two daughter companies. One of them is DigiServer,
okay?
Yeah.
and what they do is they train people in digital skills. And we
Okay.
do that in Ghana also. We start in Ivory Coast as well. But I think that's also part of improving the farms because now a lot of farmers don't have the digital skills. So what we do is we train the youth so they can help their parents or the people who run the farms by forecasting
Wow.
so that the yields are better, but also when to apply what, etc. And by giving these skills, the kids, the youth at the moment, they gain skills, so they might have different opportunities in the future, but they can also stay there and have these more highly educated job opportunities there. So it's again not only on the organic waste, it's also on other aspects of the farm to let people stay, to increase income, to make life better. And it's working. In Ghana, it's now working with Farm of the Future program.
Yeah.
I also think it might work here. We had a nice conversation about it today as well. So,
Yeah, yeah.
So this is more or less a lifetime project. Like
or,
when you start, I mean, as long as we will eat, actually, as human being, we
Yeah.
will always have these wastes. And
yeah, but I hope it doesn't take a lifetime to solve the problem
Yeah.
of valorizing all the waste. That we should do in a little bit time. Then, well, I'm
perfect.
planning to live long.
Yeah.
So we can do it. So we are almost coming to the end. If you had something to say to our youth and yeah, to the younger you or to the next generation, please.
Yeah. To the younger me, no, let's go to the youth. I think what is very important, you have these technology working, you have the market, etc. But to make something work, to make something happen, it depends most of on the cooperation you do, your
Okay.
network, collaboration with other partners. And that's what Martijn also said before. It's so important to work together and don't be each other's competition. You're wasting time. Why can we not be transparent and share the knowledge? And I think so specialize on what you're good at, what you like, and then find other partners to make the whole idea, to make the whole chain. I would say that's very important if you start a new business now. And also dare, just do it and dare to do
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Try it out, and there will always be someone or some partner who is interested in your idea and likes to invest in it.
So
Yeah,
just jump in it, just do it.
yeah, together.
Yeah.
Don't do competition. I don't like it.
Partnership instead of competition.
Transparency. Work together to improve it.
Perfect.
Then it
So
goes
it's a
faster.
win-win for
It's a
everybody.
win-win for everyone. Yeah.
Excellent. We love it. Martin, do you have a
Oh yeah, well, I think it was very inspirational. Yeah, so I'm concurring with what Seleen said. I also think if you're trying something like this, there will be people who said, "What? That's not how we do it before. We're just gonna keep on going what we're doing right now."
okay?
However, there's gonna be a lot of people that when you figure it out how to do it anyway, then they'll be completely supportive, right? So don't be discouraged by the people who are saying this isn't going to work, or who don't want to change in the first place. Because if it's a good change, you won't hear them, or they will say that they were supporting it all this time. So yeah,
Just do it.
just do it. Yeah.
Let's work and trying to transform all the waste.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was a very big pleasure. I want just to make sure that have you said everything you want to say about this topic? Or I mean, we can always have another episode, and we
Yeah.
will have once you will have the product ready, finish with the
course.
business cases. But are we okay for today?
I think we're very okay for
Yeah,
today. Thank you.
this is very nice. Ladies and gentlemen, merci beaucoup d'avoir suivi ce premier épisode autour du cacao, le podcast qui va au-delà du chocolat. On était avec SPAAK, Seleen and Martijn from SPAAK, Netherlands, un consortium qui veut valoriser toutes les chaînes de valeur agricoles et non pas seulement le cacao, mais en tout cas ici on parlait de cacao. Et si on doit retenir bien une chose, c'est qu'il faut travailler ensemble et travailler de façon collégiale, en partenariat, et non pas forcément en concurrence. Parce que nous parlons de déchets, et les déchets sont, pour tout le monde, une possibilité de valorisation. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for you too.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And we see you in Sahara and on the farm,
On
right?
the
Yes,
farm, definitely.
nice.
Thank you.
That's a wrap.